I used to work the night shift for a security company in rural Ohio. Not high-end corporate security or anything, more like babysitting warehouses and agricultural sites for insurance purposes. My job mostly consisted of sitting in a truck from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., logging activity every hour and making sure no one broke into farmhouses that hadn't seen a tenant in a decade. It was lonely work, but the pay was decent, and I liked the quiet. That changed one night on County Road 16. It was a remote stretch, lined with abandoned barns and fields that hadn't been tilled in years. The client was some holding company that bought the land cheap. My job was to monitor a derelict grain silo and a nearby equipment shed. No power, no cameras, just me, a flashlight, and a walkie-talkie that barely worked beyond half a mile. That night started like any other. I parked the truck, logged the time, and took a quick sweep around the perimeter with my flashlight. The moon was bright, but the sky was cloudy enough that the cornfields looked like a churning black sea. Nothing unusual until about 1:20 a.m. when I saw the lights. At first, I thought it was another vehicle. Two faint headlights coming down the dirt road from the north. But as I watched, I realized they weren't moving, just hovering there, suspended maybe a foot above the road. I blinked a few times, rubbed my eyes. Still there. I radioed dispatch, but the walkie cracked with static. No response. I climbed back into the truck and drove toward the lights. Slowly. The moment I turned onto the road where I'd seen them, they vanished. No sound, no tire marks, just cold wind and gravel crunching under my tires. I stopped, stepped out, scanned the area with my flashlight. Nothing. I tried to shake it off, convince myself that maybe it was some kind of optical illusion. I've driven past reflective markers before that looked like eyes or lights from a distance. I returned to my post. At 2:03 a.m., my truck stalled. The headlights flickered, the dash lights dimmed, and the engine died without warning. My heart started pounding. I turned the key. Nothing, not even a click. The battery was only a year old, and the tank was full, but the whole truck just went dead. And then the radio came back on. I hadn't touched it. At first, it was just static, then slowly the sound of breathing, labored, wet sounding like someone with a collapsed lung. It grew louder and then stopped suddenly. That silence was worse. Then a voice, low, raspy, childlike. "You saw them, didn't you?" I jumped back, yanked the keys out of the ignition, even though the truck was already off, and stumbled outside. My flashlight shook in my hand as I swept it around. Still nothing, but I had this overwhelming sensation that someone was standing just outside the edge of the light, watching me. I backed up to the shed, fumbled for the emergency flare box we kept inside. As I locked the shed, I noticed something on the door I hadn't seen earlier. A handprint, not large but smeared, as if someone had pressed their hand there and slid it down. It was oily and dark, like old grease or blood. My stomach turned. I lit a flare and stepped back, holding it out like a sword. The red light cast everything in an eerie glow. Then I heard it again. The breathing, but this time it was all around me, coming from inside the field behind the shed near the grain silo. Whatever it was, it surrounded me like a pack of wolves closing in. I started shouting, trying to scare off whatever it was, but the sound just died in the air, like the night had swallowed it. Then the lights came back. Same as before, two glowing orbs hovering just off the ground at the end of the dirt road, but this time there were more of them. 4. No, 6, lining the road in pairs, and one set of lights started moving toward me. I turned and ran. I don't even remember dropping the flare. I just sprinted to the truck, slammed the door, and tried the ignition again. Nothing. Then something slammed into the side of the truck so hard it rocked on its wheels. I screamed, fumbled for my phone. No signal. The window fogged slightly as if someone was breathing on the outside. And then, pressed against the glass, a face. But it wasn't human. It looked like a child, but pale. Almost translucent skin stretched too tightly over sharp cheekbones, eyes too wide, lips too thin, its mouth hung open like it was trying to speak, but no sound came out, just that horrible breathing. I must have blacked out, or maybe passed out from the fear, I don't know. The next thing I remember, it was morning, sunlight streaming through the windshield, birds chirping like nothing happened. The truck started on the first try. I didn't even stop to check my gear. I just drove, floored it all the way back to HQ. When I filed the report, my supervisor told me I was lucky. They'd lost 2 guards in that region over the past 5 years. Both vanished during night patrols. One of them had filed a report, claiming to have seen pairs of lights hovering in the dark. They transferred me to city patrol the next day. I didn't argue, but sometimes, even now, when I'm driving alone at night, I see 2 lights in the distance, hovering low, waiting.